Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we are the hosts of the Jedi Enclave Presenting. Now, this is Podcasting Podcast, our weekly little podcast about Star Wars news and Star Wars things, and then other nerdy, fantasy fandom things.
Mm-hmm.
We do
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. Yeah.
It's the thing that's happening.
So I like it, by the way. I like how I'm all worried that, I watched Rings of Power last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to get kind of sleepy toward the end. Not because I was bored. It was really late and I was getting tired. It was like 1 a.m. or something. And I say, Chris, we have to watch the last 10 minutes of Rings of Power because I had to turn it off because I was falling asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, oh, I haven't watched it yet.
I forgot that was the thing that was happening. Like, I really, truly forgot since last week.
So we had to watch the entire episode, which is why we're like almost 20 minutes late recording this live.
It's fine.
The good news is that we just watched it. Mm-hmm. And so it's very like fresh in our minds and everything. So we're talking about Rings of Power today. There's a little bit of Star Wars news. We'll probably start off with a couple Star Wars bits and then
some George R.R. Martin drama.
Yeah, instead of writing The Winds of Winter, he wrote a blog post.
Yep. And then immediately deleted it.
Yeah, I think that someone at HBO called him up and was like, okay, but you did sign papers that said you wouldn't do this.
HBO's legal ninjas are not quite as terrifying as Disney's legal ninjas. But
I imagine they probably have similar.
Yeah.
They probably share lawyers, I bet.
Maybe.
But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. We are live on Facebook at the moment, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So check us out there. And then the official release of this podcast will be in a couple of days. You should check that out as well. Join us on
Monday-ish, Tuesday.
It depends on if I again forget to edit the video, because I don't think our podcast dropped until like Wednesday. So I'm gonna try to have it out on Monday, or maybe Sunday. I don't know. Sunday might be our new podcast day. I don't know.
We're a little bit forgetful sometimes.
Yeah, go join us on YouTube, and then you'll always know.
Yeah.
After this, you and I are gonna get a little tipsy and return to our Buzz Recap series, which I'm very excited about because we're doing Game of Thrones season 6, which I think has all of a vast majority of my favorite moments in the entire show. I think it's most fans agree that it's like the best season.
It's all downhill after that.
Yeah. And I'll mention this when we started, but it's like season 6 is where fan opinions start to go all over the place with some character decisions.
Because they got past the written material. Right. So they were flying totally in the dark.
Yes. So join us for that. It'll be at 7-ish. And then that'd be a lot of fun. Okay, let's talk about Star Wars first, right? The first thing is that, to no one's surprise, it seems like Lucasfilm might be slowing down their show output.
Yep.
Right. And I know that probably a lot of people might be like, oh, it's because Star Wars Acolyte. And that's plainly not true. I think this was a thing that started when Bob Iger took over Disney again, because Star Wars aside, I think Disney might be having a little trouble making Disney Plus profitable.
Yes. So I believe it was Bob Chapek was the CEO before him. So Bob Chapek,
other Bob.
Yes, the other Bob put a whole bunch of money into Disney Plus, and that still has not paid off. They have not broken even on the project. And it's only the fact that the Disney parks are ridiculously profitable because they keep hiking the prices there.
Yeah.
That's the only reason Disney is making money at all, basically.
Yeah. So we mentioned last week how like streaming services are a weird metric for corporations because they're like, on paper, most of them don't make money, but like the number of subscribers they have is a big deal for them. Yep. And so it's corporations always have assets that sometimes end up being revenue neutral, but they keep around because it's good for the brand, or it's,
or they're loss leaders,
right,
or something.
Right. Yeah. They can write it off. Yeah. They can, it's their way to not pay taxes.
Yeah.
So I think that they're probably like, okay, we need to figure the Disney Plus thing out. So we're dialing back to one show a year.
One live action show.
Yeah, one live action show a year starting in 2025. As in, like, that's when the
policy will start.
Right. Yeah.
Skeleton Crew is still on track to premiere later
December,
this year.
yeah, I think. And Andor is sometime this year too.
Okay.
I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Sounds vaguely familiar. From what we know, Ahsoka starts filming early next year, I believe.
Ahsoka?
Season 2. I thought that was what I read.
I haven't read anything about...
Let's dig through this one more time. Latest reporting tracks the second season of Ahsoka will start filming in the summer of 2025.
Oh, I didn't realize that was is that a thing that's confirmed?
That's
Ahsoka star hints fans might be waiting a while for season 2, is what this story says. I wouldn't put any stock in that until we see something about it. Though it wouldn't surprise me. I know, like,
because we know Ahsoka did really well. And season 2 was greenlit very quickly after season 1.
See, I didn't think that it had even been greenlit. I just thought it was something fans really wanted.
Maybe.
And everyone was just kind of talking about. And it's funny because Ahsoka's like one of those things where like, okay, do we need a second season or are you doing The Mandalorian and Grogu? Because I thought that's what was supposed to be like.
Well,
the centerpiece that tied everything together, right?
It's Disney. They're going to do whatever makes the most money.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's, again, not a surprising move. And if I'm being honest, the quality, just the production quality of the different Star Wars live actions have been all over the place. Mm-hmm. So it might be good for them just to pump the brakes a little bit and kind of figure out, what they want to do with it.
This is very similar to the issues Marvel's been having with the MCU, where at their best, they're making really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
And at their worst, they're giving us stuff like Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Or what was the other? Well, okay, so I give Falcon and the Winter Soldier a little bit of a pass because that was like literally...
Yes. Like,
COVID-19 just destroyed that show.
COVID ruined it.
On a different level than people expected. Because
they had that global pandemic.
It was the whole plot line of that show was centered around a global pandemic.
And then COVID happened and they're like, oh shit, we can't release this right now. We need to change everything about the show.
Yeah. Disney was like, we do not need conspiracy theorists thinking that we did the whole COVID-19 thing to sell a show or something.
And like Star Wars is kind of the same way. At the very best, you get things like Andor or Ahsoka or Mando season 2. And at the worst, you get stuff like Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan, which has its moments, but is generally
not
not
fantastic. By the way, MCU stuff, I saw another featurette for Agatha All Along. Mm-hmm. It looks so fucking good, and I cannot wait for this show because I am sure that my partner John and I are the target demographic for that show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It just, and you know what? I don't mind being pandered to a little bit. I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. And it just there's nothing about this show. So first of all, I love Katie Hahn. She's fucking hilarious. I loved her before WandaVision. Mm-hmm. I think every gay man in the world, under contract, loves Patti LuPone. I think it's just a thing, and if you don't love Patti LuPone, your gay card gets revoked. Mm-hmm. The actor that plays Aubrey Plaza, she's in fucking Parks and Rec. She's one of my favorite characters in the whole show. Joe, what's his name from Heartstopper, which was this insane gay cultural phenomenon when it came out, and he's insanely famous, and he's in it. And by the way, there was a trailer last week where did you see the newer trailer?
I don't think so.
Agatha asks him who he is, and he says, "I'm," and then a spell covers his mouth with an M, and you can hear him say Billy Maximoff.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, like things are going to get pretty. Which also is a famous Marvel gay character and everything. So yeah, I'm excited for that. But wow, we got off on a thing there.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't expect any Star Wars shows. At least just one a year.
After the ones we've got, don't expect very much.
Yeah.
Hopefully Marvel or Disney figures out their quality control issues.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Speaking of quality control issues, Ubisoft had a bad week this week.
Oh yeah.
Because as it turns out, while Star Wars Outlaws got pretty good reviews, I feel like
well, mid to decent.
Yeah, right. It wasn't like
it wasn't like across the board 10 out of 10s.
And it was not at all a disaster, right?
Right. So it wasn't like everyone hates it. It wasn't like everyone says it's the next.
There was no JPEG apology on Twitter.
The problem is in the gaming industry, if you don't get across the board 10 out of 10, it's a huge problem, failure, especially when it's a AAA game like this.
Yeah. So Star Wars Outlaws came in well under their projected like revenue for that so far.
Yes. And
Ubisoft's stock tanked the lowest point in 10 years.
Yeah.
Which, first of all, I'm like, fucking good. I bet a bunch of rich fucking bro dudes just like lost a bunch of money, and I'm real fucking happy about that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I gave a review last week of Star Wars Outlaws, and I've been playing it a bunch since. And I like, there's stuff in that game that I enjoy.
I think we said it was like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I would probably put it more to a 6.
Okay.
Now that I finished the main quest, and it's a little underbaked. Like all the side quests are just fetch quests,
which is a crazy thing to say about a game that's been in production for what, 3-4 years, even longer.
Yeah, the worlds are kind of dead. I started to realize that I'm pretty sure that they were forcing stealth missions because the gun combat just isn't very good. The story was short. The main story was short and underwhelming, and don't take the wrong way. I've still like enjoyed playing it. The look of it is very Star Wars, and that's like that takes it a long way. I don't think it takes it as I don't think that carries it as far as they hoped it would.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like we still want a good story and like a really polished good game. Paid $90 upward of $100 for that motherfucker.
Jesus.
It better be amazing, right? Because like video games are too expensive now.
At that price, it better suck your dick while you're playing it.
It has not done that. I can say for a fact, and I don't know if I would tell you if it did, because that says a lot of things about me and the game.
Yeah,
the fact that I would let it, which I would. Like I know a couple of guys that we play Battlefront with that aren't buying it because it's too expensive, and they want to see how it falls out. And wait for it to go on Game Pass.
But hey, at least Sabacc is fun.
Oh, God, that game is so fucking fun. Okay.
They should have just made it a standalone Sabacc game, put it on Xbox Live for like $10 or whatever.
Or like a mobile. That's like one mobile game I would play, by the way. If anyone watching this, all tens of you, if anyone is good at like scripting Tabletop Simulator, let me know. Because I can buy a whole Sabacc deck online with the little tokens and everything. I would take high-res photos of everything and get like a tabletop sim, like Kessel variant Sabacc going. Because first of all, it's a lot of fun, and I'm good at it because it's just poker enough, and just blackjack enough, where I'm like. But it's like more simple than that. It's like simplified poker and blackjack. So it's like, oh, this is actually like calculating the odds for this is actually really easy. And the betting mechanic isn't as crazy as poker. So like there's that whole thing you don't have to worry about. So I found myself like, okay, hold on, we're going to think this hand through. And the whole thing is just like a lot of fun. I appreciated that part a lot. Okay. So we talked about Ubisoft. We talked about Disney Plus.
It's time to talk about your least favorite writer.
Yeah. By the way, George R.R. Martin fanboys don't come after me. I can recognize why he's so famous as a writer, and I would never say he's a bad writer. In fact, I think he is a quite talented writer. I personally don't like how he writes. It's like, oh my God, I get it. You want to be Tolkien. You're never going to be Tolkien.
He wants to be Tolkien, but he wants to be the one who writes the tax code for Middle-earth.
Yeah.
Like that's one of his famous quotes. Like, what was Aragorn's tax policy? How did he run the kingdom?
Who the fuck cares?
Exactly. Except nobody seems to have ever told him that no one gives a shit about taxes.
He's like, I want to know what Aragorn's tax code is, and then I want him to die.
Yes. As painfully and as miserably as possible.
Yeah. So also, it's funny that if you know anything about George R.R. Martin, you know that he's not finished with the Game of Thrones series.
No, he's
the show is over.
The last book came out in what, 2009?
It was a long time ago. Yeah. It was a ridiculous. He's never going to finish it. No. And so instead of finishing the book, which would make everyone very happy, he wrote a blog post, and now everyone is just kind of like, oh my God, what's happening?
So he put out this blog post. He deleted it within the same day.
Yeah.
Like within a few hours of putting it up.
Yep. Well, he said some pretty shitty, underhanded things about Ryan Condal.
Yeah.
That I like, if I were Ryan Condal, I'd been like, bitch, please. One of the quotes, I read up till the spoilers, right? And one of the lines that he said was something to the effect of, I'm not sure what Ryan Condal's plan was, if he even had one.
Which is incredibly shit.
Yeah, it's like, can you not let's not throw people under the bus like that. Yeah. Like, he's got it. Look, let's get the one thing out of the way. Season 2 clearly should have had more shit in it. And I think they plan to have more shit in it. But because of I think the writer and actor strike affected it more than they thought. Because everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, are all British actors? They're not affected by the writer and the actor strike." So like that whole thing is fine. The problem is that there are tons of Americans that work on that show, and like they couldn't go to work. And this episode should have this season should have had 2 more episodes, right? So I'm putting that out there as a yes. This is a thing that I recognize was bad about the season.
Could have been better.
Yes. Was there a lot of putting chess pieces into place? Yes. It was not terribly season 6 exciting the entire time. There was one good battle in the middle, but everyone wanted more.
It was about setting things up for season 3.
The war to come. Right. 4. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Now that we've got that out of the way, I don't think it was that bad.
So George R.R. Martin specifically calls out the cheese and blood sequence in episode.
Yes. So let me explain real quick. So the way I've been doing this, I've read Fire and Blood up until the House of the Dragon stuff started, and then I stopped reading it. And then as stuff comes out, I'll read about what happens in the book, right? Because I don't want to get spoiled. Yeah. Famously in the show, Helena and I have to remember all their fucking names again. No, Helena and Aegon's son went to see the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Yes.
Which, if you have no idea, if you just heard that sentence and you're like, what the fuck did he just say? It's because YouTube has a really crazy thing where like, if you can't
say certain words on YouTube.
Well, you can't talk about certain think of an inventive way. You cannot talk about children unaliving.
Shuffling off this moral coil.
Yes. Yeah. YouTube's going to probably figure that one out.
Maybe.
So we started calling it the Backstreet Boys reunion tour because like YouTube's probably like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
In the book, so George R.
So the way it happens in the show, right? Cheese and Blood go into the 2 kids' bedroom, and Helena catches up with them, and they're like, "Hey, we can't tell which one of these 2 is the son. You're gonna tell us so we can kill him."
Yeah.
And Helena first tries to buy them off, and then points to her daughter, I believe. And the guys are like, "Well, that couldn't possibly be. She tried to save this kid. That means he's the son." And so they kill his son, and all that happens.
Yeah. Excellent performance by the actor playing Helena, by the way.
Yes.
So in the book,
they had another son.
Yeah. So first of all, George R.R. Martin's thing wasn't, we wanted to see the head literally detached from the body. Like that wasn't his point. And this is a part where I'm like, okay, this makes a little bit of sense to me. So in the book, there's an entire character that isn't in the show.
Yes.
That when they present the choice to her, she's like, okay, which one of your boys do you want to send to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour?
First off, she says, send me.
Yeah.
And then they say no.
Which is fine. I can do without that. That's fine. Because I think that the show Helena's response is just as good.
Yeah.
She indicates one of her sons. They choose the other son.
And tell the son who was chosen, your mother didn't even want you to.
She wanted to send you to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Yeah.
And that is harrowing.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like some George R.R. Martin level fuckery, like mind fuckery.
Absolutely horrific.
Now, the reason that it was important was because apparently the son that goes to see the Backstreet Boys reunion, the son that doesn't go to see the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, ends up being apparently incalculably impactful on the story later.
I wouldn't say, like, having read the spoilers, I wouldn't say it's that. It's that the situations that character is involved in have
butterfly effect.
Yes, butterfly effect. They have significance down the line, and now that they don't have that character in the show, those scenes are going to have to proceed along a different path.
Yeah. And you know what? It's George, it's not your responsibility to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because that story is written, it's done, right? It's not like a Game of Thrones thing where you're having to give vague ideas on where certain characters are going. This is an author, by the way, who openly admitted to accidentally killing a character in his writing that he needed later on, and he had to figure out a way around it.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up about it, because it's like.
Not only that, George R.R. Martin has made so much money from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He is not quite on George Lucas, got $4 billion for Star Wars, but he's very nearly that point where he can just say, I don't really give a shit what you do with this story. I'm going to be over here counting my money.
I think Game of Thrones at its heyday was almost as much a cultural phenomenon as Star Wars was when it was, like at its most popular. I think like people underestimate everyone in the world was watching Game of Thrones. And yeah, he made fucking bank. Now the amount of money, I guess, isn't relevant to me because he probably still feels a lot of ownership over the characters and everything. But it's like, you've written for TV before, motherfucker. You know that it doesn't translate word for word to screen. Like, that's not how that shit works. Yeah. And it's like, you have to know this, and to write this blog post that comes off as mean-spirited toward the people who broke their backs to make that show happen.
One of the most fucked up lines of this whole thing is right near the end, after he's talking about the butterfly effect. He says there might be more toxic butterflies coming around if the plans for the next season go the way they're supposed to. And it's like, dude. Yeah. Come on.
And it's like, you know what? All the people working on this show have enough to deal with David Zaslav.
Yeah.
And this whole
well, why isn't it a reality show?
Yeah. Right. Like, can we do like Housewives of Westeros instead or something? That wouldn't necessarily be terrible. That's entirely beside the point.
Yeah.
But like they've got this whole other thing to deal with a corporate leader actively working against them making more Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. And probably right now it seems like might be just trying to gut everything so he can sell it off. Mm-hmm. You don't need to jump in and shit on Ryan Condal and all the people that like poured their heart into making this happen, because like by extension you're shitting on the actors' performance, or the work that they put into it. It's like everyone involved in this, everyone who was like really proud of the work they did on this. Here comes the creator of the show that was like, sucked. Like, fuck you, man. Like, it does not translate from book to screen.
And the fact that he's coming out and saying all this shitty stuff after he has contractually signed over the rights to HBO.
Right.
Like the fact that they're even talking to him about making this show is a courtesy.
Yeah.
They don't have to do that. They could just make whatever the fuck
they wanted. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, just write The Winds of Winter, dude. Like, write it and then make some blog posts.
Or just make a blog post saying, sorry, I'm not going to write the book. Fuck you. I'm going to be counting my money.
Yeah. Which is probably what he's doing anyway.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that really pisses me off about George R.R. Martin. So the Game of Thrones ended in a very unsatisfying way to most fans. Mm-hmm. And we shit on Benioff and Weiss a lot about it. Deservedly so. because they clearly had senioritis. They wanted to go do the Star Wars movie they were hired to do.
And then got unhired to do.
Yes. They went to go see the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Not quite that.
They went to go see their
movie got sent to
I think they did Three Body Problem, but it's like their career kind of went to go see the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. Which, by the way, Three Body Problem's pretty good, by the way.
Turns out when you have something that's incredibly hyped up and you do a shitty job on it, people don't want to hire you.
That being said, I absolutely believe George R.R. Martin told Benioff and Weiss what the general trajectory of all the characters were. I think he originally planned to have Arya kill the Night King. I think he originally spoilers. He originally decided to have Daenerys go Mad Queen and destroy King's Landing. Spoilers. And I think when he saw the fan reaction,
he was like, shit, I need to rewrite all that.
Yeah, and then he was like, oh, the show was shitty. Like, just
bro.
I know. It just I guess the reason I'm so pissed off is that the blog post comes off as infantile. It's fucking childish that he would like, that's how he would air his grievances and just say shady things like that. It pisses me off. Let's move on.
Let's talk about something we actually like.
Yeah, Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Which,
a thing that I like when I remember that it exists.
Yeah, right. By the way, I posted the spoiler review from last week, the first 3 episodes, and someone like wrote comments in real time of us doing it, but didn't go back. So like the title was like Rings of Power 1 to 3 spoiler recap, and then in parentheses in the title, this is good, or this is good, we don't care.
Yeah,
because people like to shit on this show. It's the same people who are shitting on Acolyte are shitting on this, right? Which is fine. I don't think they like either of the properties. Probably they just want to yell at black people, I think, or women or whoever. Anyone who's not white, straight, and able-bodied men. So I felt compelled to put that in the title. And then, so like this comment, first line is, wait, I don't understand. You like it, but you don't care? ? And then just kept going on with the comments. And then at the end, just hit enter instead of, and then like the next line was like, oh, you explained that in the blah, 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 blah. It's like,
okay. Good for you.
This is not a live tweet. Like you don't have to, like you're not live tweeting the, anyway, it turns out I like this show. Spoiler free thoughts real quick. We're going to do like 15 minutes on this, I think.
Yeah. Production values continue to be fantastic.
Beautiful. Music's fucking beautiful.
Yeah. When they do practical effects, they look really good.
Yeah, there's some spooky shit in this episode that looked really good too.
Like the practical effects are so good. At one point I asked you, is that practical?
Oh, right.
Because like it looked like something that would have been easier to do with CG, but it
looked like some good camera trickery too. Like there's another part. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Like camera trickery and like the actor moving in very particular ways to really sell the the
and probably some CG as well, but
maybe a touch.
It was like that. We pointed out that one thing in one of the previous episodes of when Gandalf, or the stranger, whoever the fuck he is,
Gandalf.
There are still people who are like, it's not Gandalf, but I'm pretty sure it is. He touched the ground and the vibration diffused all the like that looked real, and I couldn't tell if it was real or CG. And that as a CG artist, that is the ultimate praise when someone looks at your work and they're like, did that happen in real life? Is that real or is that fake? I can't tell. So I agree that the visual effects are so good. The action in this show and in this episode toward the, like, there's a scene at the end, you're like, oh damn, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
There was some girl power at the end of this episode. It's like a girls get it done moment. And I'm like
Tolkien, when he's writing about elves, Tolkien always emphasizes how much better they are than humans.
And they know they're better.
And like, there's some scenes in here where it's like, yes, okay, this is exactly what he was talking about. Like, they're so extra about everything.
Yes, but they're
so good at it.
Yeah, they're just like, who could hurt an elf anyway?
Apparently.
We'll get there. At the beginning of this episode, Elrond and Galadriel put some boys together. Oh yeah, we're getting into spoilers. So if you've not seen it, fuck off. Go on, fuck off. To quote Logan Roy from Succession, which you've not seen yet.
Interesting.
We might have to fix that after devs. Anyway, Elrond and Galadriel put a little band together.
Putting together the squad.
Yeah. And they pick, and I saw there's an asshole online called the Critical Drinker that was bitching about this. They've got like...
They got 2 male white elves.
Yeah.
They got one who's played by an Asian woman, and they have one who's played by a black
dude, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's like,
okay, yeah, they all look like elves.
What's funny is I didn't think about it too much until I saw the complaint from Critical Drinker, who is like, oh, woke, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Have you ever seen an elf in real life?
Yeah.
Do you know what elves look like?
I think
shut the fuck up. They're not real. They can look like anything.
Yeah, they can look like anything, but also Critical Drinker, stop being mad that you want to fuck all of them, because that's what it is. That's your problem. You just want to fuck or get fucked by literally all of these elves. And I don't blame you, because they're all real fucking pretty. So yeah, they got like 2 swords dudes, and then an archer and
one other guy.
Yeah, and then they're like, we're going on an adventure in the woods.
Yeah,
and then
they go through the woods and they come to a bridge.
Yeah, which is destroyed, and
which is not a bridge anymore.
Yeah, and Galadriel's like, yeah, it's a Sauron probably. And so Elrond also is just really pissed off that she has her ring and everything, and like won't look at her the whole time, and just like really, it's like their friendship's a little strained. Yeah. And the ring gives her a vision.
Yeah, she's like, hey, if we go that way,
something's gonna jump out from a thing. Yeah,
it's gonna be real spooky. Sauron wants us to go that way. We should go this way. Elrond's like, fuck you, we're going that way.
We're going the way Sauron wants. Fuck the ring. Yeah.
And Galadriel's like, dude.
Okay, seriously? But if one of us dies, it's gonna be on you. Yeah. So Gandalf wakes up from he did a big tornado in the last episode, and I think is now separated by miles.
He lost his hobbits.
Yeah. So he wakes up and he wanders around, and he
comes up to this house.
Yeah, a little house just fucking sitting there, and
with some plants in the middle of the desert, which is a little weird.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. A very like fertile little area. Walks up to a dude with a big fucking beard, and
he's like, hey, do you know where these stars are?
Yeah, he's like, let me tell you about stars and how I was there before stars. Yeah, that's in a different scene. Yeah. But the dude's like, hey, do you want to hang out? Like, shit's like kind of cool around here, and who knows? Maybe we'll find your stars. Maybe we'll figure it out. Knows? And so, like, the little map that he has of the stars, like, gets like blown out of his hands.
Wind takes it, and Gandalf's like chasing after it, and he gets stuck on a tree branch. Yeah. Gandalf is like, wait a minute.
This could be
this could be my staff. Let's just grab this tree branch, and oh god, this tree's alive, and oh god, it's eating me.
Yeah, the tree's like, first of all, bitch, I'm sentient, and you can't just tear parts of my body off.
First, excuse the fuck out of you. Second of all, get in my trunk.
Yeah, and this is the part we were talking about earlier, where like it looked really good.
Yeah.
And later on, the guy is Tom Bombadil, which if you're like interested at all,
I feel like there's 2 kinds of Tolkien nerds. There's one that would be really excited to finally see Tom Bombadil on screen, and there's one that would be absolutely furious to see Tom Bombadil on screen.
Yeah, probably. It is such his life, you know. Later on, I appreciate like he pulls him out of the tree, and there's some really neat camera work where you like, I'm pretty sure the actor that plays Gandalf is like squatting behind him, you know, and he's just like, you got me out, good job. So Nori and the other girl, Poppy, wake up. They're lost. They got thrown by the tornado, and they find another Harfoot called. He's like, my name's nobody.
Another hobbit.
Yeah. Well, she calls him a Harfoot.
Well, they're halflings, let's say.
Right, but she calls him a Harfoot because like everything is a Harfoot. You're right, yeah. So, and he's a weird looking motherfucker. Yeah. He really wants to fuck Poppy, like immediately.
Yes, like he and Poppy are like, we're doing this.
Yeah, our children.
We're doing this later in the season.
We will have the weirdest looking children in Middle Earth.
And also, they quickly established that Poppy is the top there.
Oh yeah, because he
Because he's like, I can't take you anywhere. And she like grabs the shoulder, like, look, bitch.
I will kick you right in the dick.
Take us to your village.
Also, I'll tell everyone you stole water or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, okay. Yeah. I like how he's kind of a doofus. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, I'm going to take you to my village, but I'm going to tell you the rules. There are 4 rules. 1, and there's a rule. B, there's a rule, and 4, there's a rule. And they're like, wait.
Did he say 3 or 4? Poppy's like, I wasn't even paying attention.
This motherfucker can't count. Oh no.
He probably can't read.
Yeah, right. He has no idea what he's saying. So he takes him to his village, and they meet like the village leader.
Where those actual hobbits living in holes.
Yeah. And Nori is like, oh, well, shit, it's kind of like you guys are all doing your shit here. And, we're trying to find our friend the wizard. And the leader's
what?
They're like, we don't do wizards, seize them. And they tie their asses up. And she's like, I'll tell you why we don't like wizards. There's a dark wizard around here and he fucking sucks. And so we meet the dark wizard, who's played by the actor that plays Mance Rayder in Game of Thrones. He's a prolific fucking Shakespearean actor, just this amazing fucking actor. And pretty much the whole conversation is, I want Gandalf and the hobbits. So fucking go make that happen.
Chop chop.
Yeah. So there's this whole Tom Bombadil Gandalf thing where, first of all, if you're watching very carefully, weird shit happens around Tom Bombadil, and some of it you can kind of miss if you're not watching, right? So like Gandalf's taking a bath and he's like washing his balls and shit, and
he hears singing in the other room,
like a woman singing, right? And there's like no woman there, like a jar starts rattling around shit, but like Tom walks in, but doesn't even like call out like, hey, put your dick away, I'm coming in. And like moves the curtain, but it just stays there like someone's holding it. It's like the weirdest thing. And like he goes in to like light his candles.
Like he lights one candle and like
they just all but they don't make a big deal out of it with the cinematography. It's just a thing that happens. And he's like, how'd you say that's weird? And he like puts the stick out, you know? And he tells Gandalf a little bit about his origins. The first thing, like listening to him talk about stars was really kind of funny because
I was there before the stars.
Yeah, he's like, you look up, it was a fucking dark night sky, and then just one night you look up and fucking stars. Like, where the fuck does they come from? And then he pulls a quote straight out of the books and says, I was here before
the mountains,
and
before
the first acorn. So he's fucking old is what he's saying. And Gandalf the whole time is like, teach me magic, please. And he's like, I
mean, we can hang out for a while, that's fine, but I don't know if I really do the whole team.
If you want to trip balls, I got some mushrooms in the back, let's do that. But no, because he's like, Gandalf's trying to find his staff, and Bombadil's like, the staff already belongs to you. You just have to you have to be worthy of it. And he's like, okay, that doesn't help at all. And then,
well, maybe you shouldn't have tried to rip it off my goddamn tree.
Yeah, right. Stop assaulting my tree, please. And they talk a little bit about Gandalf's purpose, like why he's there. Because what is his species again?
Istar.
Yeah. Like Bombadil just comes out and is like, you're a fucking Istar, and like there's another one around here. He's a dark wizard.
He's kind of a jackass.
Yeah, and you're like pretty much your purpose is to fight Sauron,
fight the dark wizard and Sauron.
Yeah. The way he words it in the scene is it's your job to confront them both,
face them both. Yeah.
And I saw some chatter.
Gandalf's like, I was not prepared for this.
Yeah, I don't even have a stick, man.
Like, I'm not trained for this shit.
I saw some chatter online about how Bombadil could have meant Sauron and Saruman, because Saruman's also an Istar. So it could have been like a I'm seeing the future thing.
Could be.
And I like the one part where he skewers Gandalf's map on the knife and then goes to hand it to him, and it just turns into like a Panera bread loaf.
A piece of bread.
Yeah, and he's like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Back in the woods.
Oh yeah, Elrond and company.
Yeah,
they find that spooky spot from her vision.
The elves are going through the woods, and they get to the spooky spot, and Galadriel's like, motherfucker, I told you we were going to come on the spooky shit. Everyone's going to be unhappy, but like we couldn't have gone the other way because your bitch ass is like, oh, but the ring showed you that. We can't trust the ring.
While they're arguing, the black guy dies.
Yeah.
They
like some chains come out and grab him and haul him into this hole in the ground, and he dies.
In a very horror-coded scene, they kill the black dude first, which I feel like assholes like Critical Drinker should have thought was really amusing, but who the fuck knows? They turn out being, what do we call them? Barrow Wights. They're floaty dead people.
Yep.
They can't be killed by traditional weaponry. They got to like go dig the weapons that killed them.
Yeah, and pull out the old swords.
Yeah. So they end up beating them and shit. And pretty much Galadriel's like, I fucking told you. So here we are. Isildur goes to look for Theo. They find a camp that's supposed to be like belongs to the Wildmen or whatever, and they're not there. But
and Arondir's like, wait a minute, they left this axe behind. That's really fucking weird because Wildmen really love their axes.
Yeah, and then they find just a dead Wildman who's like splatted on the ground. Yeah. And the elf guy, I cannot remember his name.
Arondir.
Okay. So you're in charge of elf names because I can't, like, I remember Galrond because I've seen Lord of the Rings. I swear to God, Chris.
Okay.
Wait, did I say his name wrong? Elrond. What did I say?
You said Galrond. I think you portmanteaued Gandalf and Elrond.
This is why you're in charge of elf names. I swear to God, Chris, I didn't know Galadriel's name until this show. And she's in Lord of the Rings, right? So pretty much they go back to camp and they form another search party.
Hey, we should go this way. And Isildur's crush is like, no, actually, you should go that way. You know,
which immediately trips Elf Dude's like.
He's like, wait.
She's like, oh, we should go north, and he's like, how the fuck do you know that? And then he like confronts her and just figures out that she's like a wild person, a free folk.
He's like, yeah, you know, I saw that, you know, injury on the back of your neck. Are you okay? And she's like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna throw this pot at you. He's like, nope, I'm gonna kick it.
Poison bucket.
And like they find out, yeah, she's a.
They pull her shackled ass through the woods, and he's like, "You're taking me to see." And then they fall into some quicksand or mud.
Yep.
It turns out they were like swallowed by a mudworm thing.
Yeah.
But she saves them. She redeems herself. She saves them, and then they eat it, I think. So back at the Hobbit village, they decide to throw Nori and the other girl out. They're like, "Yeah, so tomorrow morning we're gonna banish you, and you're probably gonna die. So sorry." Nori mentions that their leader's name was Boros. And that catches the leader's attention because she's like, we had a guy named Boros who left the tribe to go find better land or whatever.
Go find paradise.
Yeah. We never fucking saw him again. Yeah. And they figure out that was the ancestor of Nori's leader, dude. So like she unknowingly, like they have this huge connection between the two of them.
Practically family.
Yeah. But then the Dark Wizard, the Carnies show up.
Shadow Wizard money game.
Yeah, but the Harfoot leader like doesn't
not
give
Harfoot,
whatever the fuck,
Sackbud or whatever the fuck they are.
If you don't know what a Sackbud is, look it up. It's actually pretty funny. Like.
She's like, we ain't seen no Harfoots. We don't know what the fuck a Harfoot is.
By the way, she's got some brass fucking balls because they come in, they just fucking hit her in the face.
Her and give her a hand up.
Yeah.
All right, no,
she like stands up and dusts herself off and it's like, you touch me like that again, I'm going to kick you right in the dick. Also, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We haven't seen Harfoots around here. I don't know what a
Harfoot is.
Get the fuck out of my home.
Yeah. And
this is Sparta. Kicks him into a hole.
The guy's like, do you want to know how I got this mask?
And she's like, no, next scene. And
it would be extremely painful for you.
You're a pretty big guy for you. So the elves bury the black guy. Maybe Galadriel's ring vision should have been heated.
Yeah. Galadriel's like, look, Elrond, I fucking told you this was going to happen. We could have just gone the other way. The next time I tell you the ring is telling me something, can you please listen to me? Elrond's like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going through my stubborn phase.
I've had it up to here with your bullshit. Yeah. And I do not think I will be done with your bullshit anytime soon.
Yeah. So they free what's her name? Isildur and elf guy.
Yep.
Penelope, I think her name. I can't remember what her name is.
Isildur's about to kiss her and then she like pulls a sword and is like, I'm gonna fucking kill you because you know
they'll never take me back. Or I'm
he's like, dude, can you just chill? Like we were having a moment here and now Arondir is about to shoot you. Like,
I like how elf dude is like up on a rock and he like slowly pulls his arrow out and he's like, just give me one fucking excuse. And then elf dude looks because he hears a sound and he looks up and the expression on his face is fucking hilarious because he's like, what did I ingest in the woods? Because oh my God, is that a giant tree? And sure the fuck enough, 2 giant fucking trees show up and start attacking them.
The Ents.
Yeah. And it turns out then things cool down a little bit.
Like the Ents slap what's her face across the clearing and
she yeets her ass.
Like, dude, let's just all calm down here for a second. Like I'm really sorry that people are trying to cut down trees and
orcs. They're pissed that the orcs are cutting down trees. Yeah.
If you let us go, I promise I'll hunt down those orcs and kick their asses. And the Ents are like,
The female Ent's like, you're kind of hot.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm down with this.
Are you free after this? And he's like, I got some time.
Yeah.
So it turns out that the Ents were hiding Theo
and some of the wild.
Oh, what's her name's betrothed. So Isildur.
Turns out she wasn't lying about that.
Right. So Isildur is like,
cock blocked.
Man, elf guy's gonna fuck the tree, but I'm not gonna get to fuck anybody. And elf guy like gives him this look like, I could kill him.
Yeah.
Who would ever know?
No one would ever
Theo,
know.
he's not gonna tell anybody. So they make peace and everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Astrid is her name. I have it in my notes.
Okay.
Yeah. So meanwhile, orcs are marching through Middle Earth, and
The elves are like, what the fuck?
the elf company, the elf boy band is caught up to them, and
the boy band featuring Galadriel.
yeah, right. So, okay, I thought it was really interesting where they like you hear a voice that says, "Oh, there it is," and you see an arrow fly by, and they think that they're about to get attacked by orcs, but then
there's a horse running through the woods,
right? Because Elrond's like, everyone shut the fuck up, and they're just hunting this horse, and like one of them misses so badly that he
shoots one of the elves.
Yeah, and he just like they look over and he's just like, he's like, oh god, what the fuck, and
Elrond and Galadriel holding him, like Galadriel
because he's
putting
like
pressure on
like death throes. The dude's like about to die, and like the orcs are like trying to figure it out, and she's like, shut your fucking mouth, and then like uses the ring to like heal him, right?
Not even consciously, I think. Just like she's holding.
She's just trying to get him to shut up. Yeah,
and then like the arrow falls out, and he's like,
"Oh, I'm okay.
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah,
everything's cool."
She's like, "Good. Can you continue shutting the fuck up?"
Yeah.
And so they come to a problem, which is the orcs are going to find them.
The orcs know that they're there and are coming towards them. So Galadriel's like, look, Elrond, I'm going to give you this ring. The rest of you need to go the fuck back to Lindon and tell the Elf King what's going on here. I'm going to buy you some time.
Yeah. And she does in a pretty spectacular fashion.
Yeah.
As she's fighting and they're running away, one of the elves is like, oh my God, Galadriel's so fucking cash money. She's like...
She's sacrificing herself for us. And Elrond's like, no, you idiot. She's sacrificing herself for the ring.
Yeah, make sure the ring's safe. And he's like, oh, that's pretty fucked up. And he's like, why do you think I've been saying this the whole time? Galadriel, by the way.
Kills like a dozen orcs, sets a bunch of them on fire, is about to make her get away.
Yeah.
When fucking Chain loops over her and pulls her to the ground, and like she's about to pull an arrow and shoot. It's fucking Adar.
Yeah, he's like, hey,
what's up?
He opens with like a traditional elvish greeting, and she's like, oh, your face is all fucked up. What's wrong with you?
I guess this is what we're doing now.
Weren't you played by a different actor in the last season?
It's kind of weird.
Played by Uncle Benjamin, by the way. I wish I had gotten him back. But the guy that plays Adar now is pretty good too. I like him. So yeah, that's
about it.
That's the end.
So Galadriel and Adar are presumably going to talk about some stuff. There's something in this season of Rings of Power where like Adar and Galadriel team up against Sauron. So I guess that's going to happen.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't really care what anyone says about this show. I have seen a couple of people who didn't like the first season who have admitted that the second season is better and that they've been enjoying it. So I like, who knows? I know that I just watch it for what it is, and I'm entertained. I think the action is cool, and I like the actors. And
I've never read the Silmarillion. I have no idea what's happening, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm just enjoying the ride.
I'm very happy in my ignorance, actually. Yeah. Okay, so if you're wondering why I've been talking so fast, it's because I've been trying to get this in under an hour so we can go do Buzzed Recap, which we'll be starting here in a few minutes. We're going to break for like a second and then start over. So we're gonna get just a little drunk,
just a little,
and talk about Game of Thrones season 6. And I've got maps and visual aids, and it's going to be a blast. So join us for that. Thank you so much, and we'll see you here in a few minutes.
Bye bye.